You don't have an amendment to the main motion, right?
I don't even know what the main motion
The
is.
main motion is to have the attorney, the registry of deeds, and the sheriff have the single-person health care benefit paid for by the county.
Yeah, but they already have that. I don't
We have to
understand
do
why.
this so that each delegation has to vote on what we're gonna do for the next 2 years for the elected officials, so they will do that. If it stays the same, it stays the same, but we need a motion to clarify and be sure that everybody that signs up says, oh yes, they voted on the salary, they also voted on the benefits. Representative Fleck.
I do favor the motion as it stands, and I think we're better to move forward, leaving the benefit package as it is. If we see the need as a delegation to examine any potential improvement in the fiscal status of the delegation or the county, in an adjustment we make, we can study that over time, but we don't have to do that now. I would just favor going forward and maintaining the benefit package as it is. The salaries have been established at a 3%, well, we would. And if we think there is a way that the county can benefit by offering employees some financial package to replace the medical package, fine. But we need to, that takes a look. That takes a real careful study, I think, to see if we could really come out ahead. And I'm not sure we do.
That's all I said, it should be considered.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Anybody want to have a discussion? It's to leave the single-person health care benefit as is for Registry of Deeds, County Attorney, and County Sheriff. Representative Schmidt.
Let me throw a straw man out there. And let me, if I may, ask the commissioners. County employees at the moment, out-of-pocket health care costs for their health care is something or zero, or
It depends.
do they have any costs?
Yeah,
It's 20.
It's
20%, yeah. But
2080
I
is
would
what we-
also say that we have a lot of people that are in the same category where they're on their spouses and they've asked or request to get a benefit that they don't take. Well, we've always decided that that's a choice they have. They can either go with the county plan or go with the spouse's plan. No compensation for either way.
And the three elected officials we're talking about, they also would have a 20% out-of-pocket cost for their health insurance.
I don't think that we have ever specified
I
that.
don't think so either.
What,
We are
Do we?
treated the same.
you are treated the 80/20,
20%? Okay, sorry.
so they would be at 80/20.
Then I would support the motion as made.
Okay, and we should probably include that to be sure, because I did not assume that they had that. So if you would like to make a friendly amendment, Representative Unberger, to include 80/20 split, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
And Representative Knox, would you agree to that
Yes.
friendly amendment? Okay, so the motion on the floor is there. Representative Babson.
In that amendment, excuse me, you just made, should it not be 80/20 or the current county split? Because what happens in the next contract if it drops down to 70/30? You don't want to be stuck with 80/20.
We have to go with a plan then.
Whatever
With the health
whatever
plan.
the going plan is.
Just go with the health plan.
What do we do with that?
I think you deal with it when the time comes.
Every 2 years.
Yeah.
Every 2 years is when we do that.
I would say that if that's what it is today, that's what it is until the next election. And if it changes in between times, they still get the 80/20. And then when we reset the salaries in 2 years, then it goes to whatever it is. But I don't see how you can say, if I run for office, okay, that would be like saying, I'm running as a representative, okay? I'm going to get $100 the first year, but perhaps I'm only going to
You're
get
right.
$70 the second year.
You're right.
And so we just need to keep consistent for the 2 years.
Right.
This is a 2-year exercise, okay? So the 80-20 split will stay the same no matter what. Doesn't mean that you have to negotiate any different. This is not pressure on, this is just what happens. Okay. So for the 3 officials we've come up with is the single person benefit as paid by the county at an 80-20 split, made by Representative Umberger, second by Representative Knox. Okay? All those, you want to have a roll call or just hands made? All those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. With Representative Tregenza in the no, 10-1. Okay? Now, let's look at the Registry of Deeds. That salary is at $41,580. Does anybody want to make any change to that? Yes, Representative Umberger.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't have my calculator, but someone does. I'd like to recommend a 3% salary increase for the Registry of Deeds.
Second it.
And second by Representative
But we need to
Knox.
figure out what that
And
number is.
which one of you got your calculator?
1,200 and
right?
something.
I know, but I can't say 1,200 and something.
Representative Algren has a calculator.
So it's 41,580?
Yeah. 3% increase.
And
1247.40.
What is it?
1247.40.
so I have $42,827.40 total.
Can we say that again, 40?
The total I came up with was $42,827.
All right, let's not do the pennies. all right?
No.
Should we do 828 so that we round up?
Sure.
Round up. All right, there's a motion on the floor by Representative Umberger and second by Representative Knox to have a 3% increase, which equates to $42,828. Yes, and a Registry of Deeds.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'd like to take an
Registrar.
opportunity to talk about
Yeah.
the salary and not just take a 3%. This is kind of an insulting salary if you look across the board. I will tell you, and you can say you don't want to hear about the next person down making more money than you do. I had a meeting with my staff, and I showed them what they get just for their salary and their medical benefit. I have one person who does not take health insurance in my department. Everybody makes more money than I do. Everybody. I just think you ought to know that. And when you look at what has been consistently done here, and I do say that when you have a position open, anybody can run for it. And I warned you the last time when we were increasing the salary to 46, that you had to realize that salary could be given to someone with absolutely no experience. So I find myself in a dilemma as to what to recommend to you, but I still think that a 3%, nobody, I don't know, I've tried to encourage somebody else to run, and I can't find a person that's willing to run for that salary. I'm just letting you know, somebody with experience. So it's up to you what you do with it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Representative McConkey.
I have, for a registrar, whatever that rate should be, if I was going to enter a loose conversation, I would say this is a cash cow, and the cash cow has brought us a lot of money, and perhaps that person should be entitled to more money. I stand by the same position as the ones previous. I'll vote against this, and it's an elected position. And I know when the sun sets on the day that we can sign up, there will be someone that signs up for this position.
Okay, any further discussion on this issue? Sheriff, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Ann has not asked me to speak, but I do have a few comments to make. I would just like to talk about the setting of salaries, and that not the salary for the sheriff, because I don't want to be told that I'm advocating for my own position. That's not my purpose. But for the record, I've been sheriff for 3 years, and the salary has been the same. But when I drilled down into county government, the level of mediocrity and casual indifference is shocking. And I guess the only thing that I would say with respect to that is that many members of the delegation see that depressed setting of salaries as some sort of banner of fiscal responsibility. I think the opposite is true. If you're gonna change county government, if you're gonna be transformational, you've gotta make the job attractive to the best people out there. And this decade after decade of 30-cent increases or whatever they happen to be, based upon, several times based upon Mr. McConkey's assertion that it's an elected job, and if you don't like it, leave it. I think that's a fatal flaw for our future. Now, the Registrar of Deeds, if you give her a 20% increase, it will barely put her on top. So I ask you to reconsider, some of the past practices. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, sir. There's a motion on the floor. Representative Merrill.
I'd like to comment if I could.
Yeah.
I guess it has nothing to do with the way I'm going to vote or not going to vote, but I would have to disagree first with Representative McConkey's remarks on a person can run whether or not they want to. That's true, but if you made this salary $5,000, somebody would run for it, but what would you be getting for the $5,000? And that's really to the key. And the other thing that I've noticed, maybe here and in most public places, is they tend to keep salaries down to keep the budget matched. And pretty soon, the salaries outside of that particular job grow way up here. Now, some of these are okay, but if you happen to have an individual, and I'm not saying that this is one, but if you happen to have an individual who should be paid more, and they've gotten behind simply because they haven't gotten adequate raises in the past, if you keep giving them a certain percent raise every year, they're never going to catch up. So we've had to do this in the town on a couple of places, and you shouldn't do it across the board, but if somebody is there who is doing a good job, and the job is what you should be paying, not the person, I suppose, then I don't see how you can stick them to a certain percent salary. Well, every now and then you have to give somebody a lump sum to get them caught up. Now, whether this is the case or not, I don't know, but the philosophy, to me, of just saying you can keep giving this, that's like saying we don't have enough. A good analogy, I guess, is like saying we don't have enough money in the town to repair roads. Well, pretty soon, if you don't repair them, you don't have any roads, and it's going to cost you 10 times as much as if you'd done it right along. So, I don't know what to say on this, but I can tell you I've got a very mixed feeling.
Yes, Representative McConkey and McCarthy and Fleck.
Thank you. I will adopt Representative Chandler's words many times. You may not agree with me, and you may not vote with me, but that's my feeling. I would just like to respond by when we had a vacancy for a sheriff, and when we had a vacancy for a registrar, we ended up with Anton and Conley, who were two people that are entirely capable of that job. To suggest that people of lesser quality are going to show up all of a sudden and the county's going to be burdened by that, I suggest probably isn't a real argument. I'm going to vote against this as I did everyone, and I won't take any more of your time.
Okay, Representative McCarthy and then Representative Fleck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to point out that out of the top 10 earners in this county, only one is an elected official, and he's number 10, and that's the county attorney. He's number 10. The other 9, well, 8 of them belong to the nursing home. Almost $700,000 for 8 people at the nursing home, and you're talking to only one elected official in the top 10 in the salaries. Even the sheriff doesn't make it in the top 10. It's the attorney and Jason over at the jail. So Calling about a couple of $100 or $1,000 or $2,000, especially for the registrar of deeds, I think is ludicrous and hypocritical when you look at what they're making over there in the nursing home. $108,000 for a nurse, $104,000 for the superintendent. Give me a break.
Representative Fleck.
Yes, I agree with Representative Murrow that talking about a percentage increase, particularly a 3% increase, doesn't really address the salary difference that we find in the Register of Deeds office. That's the second to the lowest of the other counties as far as the information that we have. I don't know what Hillsborough is making. But anyway, a percentage increase doesn't make any kind of an adjustment. And we've also recognized when we came up with the 30 cent an hour increase, we recognized and used that as a way to make up for those percentage differences when some salaries were very low. A 3% increase didn't mean something to someone who was very low. So the reason the 30 cent an hour increase was used was to make up that difference. So I'm saying that I think here I would favor not going with the percentage increase as it's established, but to something greater than that, to bring it up somewhat more than where it is right now.
Okay, there, Representative Schmidt and then Umberger.
I think some good points have been made on salary. As you look across the line, it really is drastic, the difference in salary. Only Comeau County makes less money, and do they have any deeds up there?
Yeah, they have a lot of land up there.
That was a little joke.
And a couple of lakes.
Let me amend the motion. Let me throw out a flat figure and see how you react to it. I would amend the motion that we would raise the registrar of deeds to $45,000 per annum.
I'll second that.
Okay, wait a minute, let me just get that. Representative Schmidt moves an amendment to $45,000 for the Registry of Deeds, seconded by Representative Babson. Okay, is there discussion on that? Do you want to discuss it? Representative Umberger?
Yes. Part of that thing that was sent to us shows the average of all the counties.
Mm-hmm.
And the Register of Deeds, the average minimum was 45,261, and the average maximum was 56,118. So I just,
We go to the minimum.
So this is still below the average, minimum.
yeah. But I just,
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means. It just means that that's, when you take all the salaries, that's where they fall. Okay? I mean, that was,
I just didn't see that handout.
that's because you didn't look at your email.
Your email, here, this is what she's
That's
talking
just
about.
the announcement.
Let's see, the county registry of deeds. So that's at that, this is what you're saying,
Everybody
45 to
should've got it.
61 to
Everybody.
56, 118. That is where this was their survey on your email that Kathy sent out a couple weeks ago.
Oh, thank you.
Which supports this.
Okay.
I did see it.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
probably
it
didn't-
came about 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago, so we didn't. So there is an amendment to the motion by Representative Schmidt, second by Representative Babson, to make the Registry of Deeds salary $45,000 even. Are you ready for the motion? Any further discussion? You want, all those in favor, raise your hand. Where did Representative McConkey go? He's gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. There's 9, and those are no. Representative Treganza is in the negative. Okay. Let's look at the county sheriff. Would anybody like to make a motion? Representative Umberger.
Yes, I would like to move that we increase the sheriff's salary by 3% plus $250.
Will somebody,
I'll tell you in a minute.
okay, that's a second by Representative Umberger. Is there, a motion, is there a second?
It Would you like me to explain the $250?
Would you give me a second before
I'll
we
second.
have, a second by Representative Flack? Yes, thank you.
Okay. As you know, we have had some discussions over the last 2 years, 4 years, whatever, dealing with what the sheriff is authorized to do in relationship to boots and cleaning and uniforms and all that other stuff. So what the $250 is for upkeep and or purchase of either personal clothing or uniforms. Okay, so that the sheriff has that money, he pays taxes on it, and he does with it what he wants. And that way, and I want to keep it separate, I want to do the salary and I want to say plus, because I think we need to understand, and we'll probably I'll follow it up with another motion as to what the $250 should be. And because there's some other things that I believe that a sheriff should be provided, such as a vest, okay, such as a gun, such as a holster, such as handcuffs. I think his car should have things like rifles and shotguns, which are general requirements of the job. Okay, just like we expect the county attorney, although he doesn't have to be a lawyer. You know, I could run for county attorney. Okay? I don't have to be anything. Okay? But I have to have, for the sheriff, I have to have certain tools that are essential for me to carry out my duties. I guess I could run for sheriff as well. But, so I want to follow this up with another motion that says, you know, what the $250 is for and what the sheriff should expect when he runs for office. So,
Okay. Yes, Representative McCarthy and then Babson. And does anybody have that amount of money at 3%?
I can have that for
Okay,
you
all
shortly.
right, go ahead,
I just had,
Representative
it was like
McCarthy.
62. I gotta just go back to that, I'm sorry.
Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe, I go along with everything that the representative said relative to the sheriff, except I believe that those items that she mentioned, except dry cleaning of his personal clothes, are already available to him. And I know we discussed it, you know, in our subcommittee meetings, and we decided, I believe, at the time, that the purpose of the raise was so that he would use that money for his dry cleaning and purchase of boots and things like that, rather than using county money for it. So, under the stipulation that the sheriff agrees to that he will no longer have his dry cleaning done at county expense, or purchase articles of clothing that he considers to be a uniform, I'll go along with it, but only under that stipulation.
Okay, and there was another, Representative Babson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Over the past, I don't know, 15, 20 years, when the sheriff's salaries come up, we've always had it, or many times we had it scaled in the event that a new individual gets elected. Obviously, the current sheriff has had 2 years of experience, 4 years of experience, and we would set one salary for him, and in the event that we get a new person, we could literally have someone that hasn't even been in law enforcement and would be starting from zero. I don't think that would happen, but there is a learning period in here, and I would think that we would consider scaling it for a person with no experience and individual with experience as a sheriff.
Who sets the expense?
Okay. Yes, Representative McConkey.
Inquiry of the chairman, I was out of the room. Is the motion 3% plus 250? Is that where we're
Yes.
at?
And the amount of money at 3% is 62,186.
Thank you. As much as it pains me, I won't be supporting, I support Representative Unberg and the subcommittee work. The $250 is a warranted item, and I would agree to that, but I will not be supporting the entire motion, which is to raise the salary.
Could I?
Any further discussion? Representative Umberger.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to split the motion if other people feel that way. I guess not.
Okay. We have a motion by Representative Umberger, seconded by Representative Fleck, for a 3% increase plus 250. A 3% increase is 62,186, and add 250 to it, it's 62,436. Representative Treganza.
Just that Representative Umberger offered to divide the motion, and I would second that.
All right, we can divide the motion so that we're going to do 186. No, let me see, 62,186. And if we can, all those in favor of the 3% increase, which is at 62,186, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those opposed? 1, 2, 3. We just got 9 of us today?
He gets a 3%.
We get
Something's wrong. We had 10.
You didn't count yourself.
I didn't, all those in favor say, raise your hand for aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry. 8 and 3. 8 to 3. So the motion is at 62,186.
I amend that, Madam Chairman?
Can,
We have
Yep.
to vote on it.
we're
Motion passed.
splitting now to talk about the 250. Do you want a motion on the 200, amendment on the 250?
No, I want an amendment on what we just voted on.
It's too late.
My amendment would be if a newer sheriff is elected, that they stay the same as we're currently paying.
Do you want to make a motion that if a new sheriff comes in, what do you want it to do?
To remain as it is.
Remain as is. Is there a second? Is there a
Madam
second
Chair,
to, wait a minute, let's just get a second first.
Second.
Representative Treganza. Yes.
It's a point of order that, I mean,
Representative.
we can't set a salary based on whether or not it's an incumbent or a newly elected. That weighs big red flags to me all over the place. That can't be constitutional.
We've been doing it for
I
years.
think we have done that before.
We've had, yes, madam, we did do that.
We have done that in the past.
I don't know who determines the experience, though.
If you don't like the motion, then what we end up doing is voting
We
against it.
did, we,
1 or 2
as I
years.
recall in the description, we put in with previous experience as a sheriff versus just regular law enforcement.
So,
That's my recollection.
yes, I know, but you're gonna need to get that in the motion.
Yeah, you need a.
I move that should a new sheriff be elected, that the individual's salary be $60,375, and the description of previous experience, the individual had been a sheriff someplace else, in another location.
That's what we voted.
Already a sheriff.
That's what we did before. If
Okay, so if a newer sheriff is elected, the salary would be $62,375. Previous experience that you've already been a sheriff already, that you
It
have.
would be $63,375, Madam Chairman. The 62 is the new one.
$60,375.
Yes.
Will be, okay, let me
So
make
that the previous experience would be that it was, that person was already a sheriff,
I've been a sheriff in another location.
already sheriff somewhere else.
unless
That would bring it to this total amount.